Like, I bought so much stuff, guys. Oh my gosh, hey vlog. Okay, so I literally just spent $415 in Blick. Like, being a art student is just so expensive. Honestly, my friends definitely said that this was self-inflicted pain because of the brands that I bought. Like, y'all. Anyway, let's get to it. Okay, and the only reason why I spent so much money on the paints that I got is because my professors were asking for specific colors that I didn't have, or colors that I already use a lot of based on like the paintings that I did this summer. Plus, I have two painting classes. One's a figure painting class, which kind of requires different colors, but also kind of the same colors as like my intermediate painting class, which is why I had to spend so much on supplies. And I didn't even buy all the supplies that I need. So let's go over what I bought, and let me show you this receipt. This receipt is a like, look at how long it is. Yeah, it's ridiculous. And the most expensive pigment I bought was cerulean blue. It was $26. And keep in mind, all this paint was on sale. So I can only imagine how much I would have spent if it wasn't on sale. I think all the paint I bought was like 20% off. But like, I'll show you all the paint and we'll go by like the sets. So I have four yellow paints. And another reason why my friends say it was self-inflicted pain is because of the brand. But I figure if I'm in college, if I'm creating art, I'm going to invest in the things that I do. Obviously, I have some of this paint, but they're much lower quality and they're almost gone. So I figured that I might as well get higher quality paint. And my pockets are suffering. So I have cadmium yellow light, and this is the pure. So none of my colors that I bought are hues. I have this color, which is a pretty expensive brand, but they were the only ones that I saw that had this. If it wants to load, that I saw that had this color, and that's particularly for my figure painting class that asked for this color. I got cadmium yellow medium, and this brand is pretty known for being a pretty good brand if it wants to load. Um, okay, obviously it doesn't want to load. And then I got yellow ochre, a huge tube because it was requested from my professor for my figure painting class. Yay. Now we have the reds, and keep in mind the yellows were they were all pretty expensive just because yellow is just pretty expensive to buy in general. So is red. So I have this red, which is honestly my favorite red to use, but the only thing is it definitely does fade over time. Oh my gosh. At least that's what I've heard from my professors, that this pigment fades over time, which is kind of sad, but this is definitely my favorite red to use. And then I basically got cadmium red medium and cadmium red light. So, and these are different brands, but these are one's like a little bit of a higher end brand and one's like mid tier. So I ended up getting a lot of either mid tiers or a little bit high end brands, but not like the highest tier brand because I'm not made out of money. Here are some of like the browns I got, and I realized I got the wrong umber. I was supposed to get a burnt umber, but I ended up getting a raw umber. We're just gonna keep it just like, I guess it just is what it is. Please focus. Um Actually, I think I'll just show them all at once. It'll just make it easier. So basically I got raw umber, raw sienna, burnt sienna. So these are most likely going to be just used for my figure painting class. Obviously, I'll probably end up using burnt sienna just because I also use burnt sienna usually when I'm like just like painting non-fleshy tones. I use that a lot just to tone down some of my colors. And then I had to get Mars Black, which I honestly was not too thrilled to get Mars Black just because I watched a video on it unironically. And Mars Black is like one of those colors that just dilutes the whole palette and it just takes over colors. And usually now I just make my own black. So, and my professor was very adamant about getting all the colors that he had said on the list or whatever, which was, anyway. Now I have these two colors. This color was requested for my figure painting class. I don't know exactly why we would need purple, but um honestly, he's the professional. So I ended up getting that. And then this color, honestly, no class asked for this color. I just figured, like, if I'm gonna buy paint, I also am gonna buy paint that I want, that I use. I use a lot of purples, blues, and stuff like that. So I did end up getting this color, and honestly, I've been eyeballing it for a while now. Now we are moving on to the greens. And one of these greens I already have. I already have sap green, but I use sap green a lot just because I usually do a lot of foresty colors. And this color was something that's from my figure painting class. And then I think this one's from my intermediate class that he had asked for. If it Okay, it doesn't want to load. Sorry y'all. So we're gonna move on. And now we have our blues. And obviously this is kind of interchangeable for both classes. And then I have the cerulean blue, which ended up being my most expensive pigment, which was $26. And without the sale, it would have been $44. Yes. So honestly, I hope this is because I already have cerulean blue, but I have it in a cheaper bottle. So hopefully this one ends up working much better than the one that I had. Because when I used it, I was like, this is lackluster. And I don't think I ever touched that pigment ever again. So hopefully I actually use this. And maybe it was just the brand that I had that I didn't really like. So also I feel like Blick felt bad for me. So they gave me all of these items for free. They gave me this 3-in-1, which I'm not exactly sure what it's for. If anybody knows, please leave a comment. I also bought this palette knife just because I don't have a palette knife that looks like this. So I bought this one. Not bought, but like they gave it to me. And then they gave me this like gray color. I guess it's from Reclaimed Paint, which is interesting because honestly, I would probably never buy a gray pigment, but I got it for free, so it's fine, and it works out. Also, my professor requested us to get a wooden palette, so this is what I got. It was like $5 or something like that. I was gonna get another one that I was looking at, but it was like $50. So I didn't get it. I was trying to be cost efficient. So we're supposed to be like stretching our own canvases. So I bought 2 yards of canvas, which is right here. It's unprimed, so I got the cheaper version because I'm gonna prime it anyway, so it doesn't really matter. At least I don't think it matters. If it's supposed to be primed, oops. I guess I'm gonna prime it anyway, so I don't feel like it should matter. And then I bought stretcher bars, but I'm not gonna lift it up. I bought 8 stretcher bars, and they're all 30 inches because our professor kind of gave us choices on the size, and I just realized I'm just gonna do both paintings 30 by 30. Make it easy, simple, get it done. My professor also requested for us to bring 1 gallon of gesso. This is not a gallon of gesso. This is half a gallon of gesso, but I feel like once I add water, it'll be a gallon. So I'm honestly not too worried. Also, I don't feel like I'm gonna use the entirety of the gesso. I'd be kind of surprised, but then again, I do have 2 painting classes and I usually paint on my own, so that's honestly a possibility that I might end up using all of the gesso, anyway. And then some of the oil paint mediums that I bought. So I got terpenoid. I think that's how you say it. I bought this. Honestly, I would much rather use like mineral spirits, but this is what he requested, and honestly, I bought refined linseed oil. I have linseed oil, but I just bought this just because my pockets were kind of prepared to spend this amount of money, so I figured I might as well get the things that I need now, so I am prepared later. I also bought Liquin. I'm not too much of a big fan of Liquin, but we're gonna use it in our classes, so I bought them. Lastly, I bought like some gesso brushes just because I always mess up my gesso brushes or like lose them, so here are some more. And I bought these little containers, and I believe it's like for like our Liquin and like linseed oil and stuff like that. So I did buy these, and this honestly wasn't too much. But anyway, that was kind of like my haul of everything that I bought at Blick. thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you guys like and subscribe, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Wow. Peace.